Welcome to Community Watch. Greg, how are you?
I'm good.
Good, good. As you know, we're doing a series of programs interviewing the candidates for Rome City Commission. And we have a candidate with us right now, incumbent Sunday Stevenson, who is running for Ward 1. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Glad you're here.
All right, question number one. What is your primary motivation for running for Rome City Commission?
I'm running for re-election for Rome City Commission because I want to be a help to those in need. I care about Rome. I care about the citizens of Rome. And if I can help someone solve their problems, that's what I want to do. That's the reason I'm running.
Okay. Question number two, slightly different for incumbents than for new candidates. The incumbent version is, name one accomplishment that you are most proud of, any idea or change that you have achieved since taking office.
One of the things that I ran on when my first bid for running for commissioners was diversifying, and not only with race, black and white, but with age, with educational status. Because whether you went to Harvard or you were just a high school graduate, I mean, you have something to offer. So I think with the various committees that we have throughout the city, I've been able to and I sit on the committees to help put people on those committees when spaces become available. And I think being able to diversify, because we all have something to give. We all have something to offer. And that was one of my things that I ran on, was diversifying, and I've been able to do that.
Okay.
All right. Our Latino neighbors are a growing part of our city's population, but hold few positions of leadership in Rome. How do you plan to facilitate that change?
One of the things that I do with some of the local Latino business owners, I've gone to them, and we are friends. Just start with Carlos downtown at El Zarape, who's been in Rome for years. I mean, he was in Rome when before I had children. My oldest now is 25 years old. But I try to tell them that they matter, because a lot of them have told me it doesn't matter what we say, but they do have a voice. And I try, you have to be friendly with them, because people have to be able to trust you. And I try to show myself to be trustworthy. And I try to express to them, you have a right, just like I have a right. And your voice should be heard. And if I can be that voice for you, I want to be that voice for you. So I try to include the Latino population, the Asian, whatever, because you're a citizen. If you're a citizen of Rome, it doesn't matter what you look like or where you come from. You have a voice. And I try to be all-inclusive, because all people need to be respected with dignity, no matter who you are, what you look like, or where you come from. And I try to, with them, and there's some other businesses that I have targeted that I know people trust, the business owners, and I'll go to some people I know that they trust, to be inclusive, because they are a part of our city and their voices need to be heard. We're all in this together, and what they feel needs to be heard, because it matters.
All right. Do you support the urban camping ordinance that the police have proposed? How do you envision the city's role in finding solutions to issues of poverty?
Now that we've got when it was first introduced to us, and I didn't get it till just maybe a couple hours before when it was first introduced to the commission, and they wanted to put it on first reading, and there were quite a few of us in there that said, hold up, we don't know all the particulars. Let's see what's going on here, because I didn't want to criminalize being homeless. A lot of people can't help the situations that they're in. So once we found out, and once we delved into it and found out, what this ordinance is, what it really is to help the homeless. Because the ordinance that's on the books right now, if our police went out and they can arrest them, the people that are camping on public grounds, they can take them to jail. And they didn't want to do that, because the jails are full now. The jail is full, and we don't have room for people now, but there's no reason for criminalizing being homeless, because people can't help their situations. But what the new ordinance does, you're able to give them, or give whomever is camping, doing the urban camping, you can give them a warning. instead of arresting them the first time. And our police officers, they are compassionate and benevolent, excuse me, and they didn't want to take didn't want to take them to jail. So what this does in turn, after we found, sit down and really dug into what's really happening, what we're trying to do, it's actually to help. It's doing more good than harm now. We're not going to take them to jail. And I'm all for doing whatever we can help. Now, it's just not a city problem. It's going to take all of us working together. And since this ordinance did come up a few weeks ago, they pulled off the shelf the task force. There was a homeless task force that was formed back in 2009. And that was before I was on the commission or even thought about running for commissioner at that time. But we since pulled it off the shelf, and we've actually had 2 meetings. And we have a meeting coming up this week, Thursday. Where we're sitting down and trying to come up with solutions. We have to have options. Not every person on the street wants to be in shelter, but that's their choice. We have to be able to give them options. And not every person, they don't have mental illness, because what we've heard a lot, that they're all not all homeless people are mentally ill. They're not. But we have to have options, and it's taking everybody to work together. We have people from all the different sectors. Social services, city government, county government. We have people that work with the homeless in different areas. We have people from mental health. We're all coming to the table, and we're trying to come together, put all of our ideas together, and come up with a solution where we will have options for people that are homeless. Because we have people not only living in camps, we have people that are living in their cars. That's homeless. We have people that's living in hotels. We have students living in hotels. So that's not traditional housing. So there are different forms of homelessness, and we're coming together, trying to come up with solutions and options. But it's going to take all of us working together. The city just can't do it by themselves. The county can't. Social services can't. It takes all of us working together, because it's a problem. It's all about problems, because they are people, they are citizens of Rome, and we have to make sure that they're safe too. So it's going to take all of us working together to come up with solutions for them.
Okay. Do you believe downtown businesses have been hurt because of the parking ordinance? How would you describe the problem with parking, and what is your solution?
When parking first started, it was with the kiosk. Totally against kiosk. I voted against kiosk, but the majority went the other way, so then you have to go with the majority. Now, I talked to all the business owners, not only to the business owners downtown, but I talked to the people that live downtown and the people that visit downtown as well. So, everybody, plays a part in that. If the businesses have hurt, I don't think we can just put all that on parking, because now parking is still free downtown. We don't charge for parking downtown. Yes, you pay for parking in the parking decks, but on street parking, it's still free. And right now, we're still in our survey period right now. It's 3 months, and then after 3 months, then we'll get data back to see what's going on. But what we did do, because I heard a lot of merchants were saying that 2 hours was not long enough, we did change it to 3 hours free parking, and extended it an hour, and we cut back. With the new ordinance, they wanted to make it to 8 o'clock, but we left it at 6. So that was in order to help our merchants downtown. We want to do everything that we can do, because downtown is one of the jewels of Rome, and we don't want to do anything to hurt that. We want to do whatever we can do to make people successful. Parking, and there are a lot of people that don't want to park in the parking decks, because of things that go on in the parking decks with our people that are homeless, and with our children, our teenagers, because I say they were afraid. But the city has done a lot of things. They've changed the lighting in the parking decks, the police patrol more often to try to make it safe where people will utilize the parking decks. And then once we get this our survey back, once we get data back from these 3 months, then we'll know, what's going on and what we need to do and go forward. But we want to make help our merchants downtown be as successful as possible.
All right. Now that the city and county have decided to take a larger role in economic development and recruitment of industries, what changes are you proposing regarding recruitment strategies? how will you measure success of the new model?
Now, with the new model, I'm not an economic developer. That's why you hire someone to do that, and that's what's been done. And since we're at that stage now where that's been done, we have to let that person take charge and do what they've been selected to do, is to bring economic development in here. And I guess the way that we measure that is to look at the industries that we bring in. Now, with the chamber is still a part of that with our GRIA, with our existing industry. So we have to make sure that our existing industry, that make sure that they are nurtured as well, because they're already here and they've been here. So the chamber handles that part. But I think because of the change that we have now, we have to give our economic development person a chance. We this there now is in place, and let's see the industries that they bring in. Let's see the other, I guess, as going out and bringing others to come in and even to look at Rome. And I guess you asked how could we measure that? Is to see where we are, how many people we're coming in to looking at Rome, how many are interested in it, because Rome is open for business. Now, in the city of Rome, we don't have as much land as they do in the county. We're kind of at a landlocked stage because we really don't have land here in the city. Most of the land is outside of the city. But let's just see how, what parameters she uses, what she does to go out. And I say she because, our new economic development is a female. Ms. Kendrick, let her see what she can bring in, how many prospects can she bring in, and then how many have been landed. So there are various things that determine how we get industries in here. But we have to be able, there's a give and take on both ends, seeing what we're willing to give in order to get somebody to come in. But we have to give her a chance. Give her a chance. It's change. And, we don't like change. We are creatures of habit. But I'm a product of change, and our change is not bad.
Based on the recent requirements that the city school provide their own transportation, what do you see as the next chapter for Rome Transit? Is it finally the right time to add Georgia Highlands to the bus routes?
Well, thank you for asking about that, about Georgia Highlands. That has come up several times in the last year, and I am all for that. Georgia Highlands is in the county. There's some things that the county will have to do in order to do that, but we do have someone that's doing a study right now on where does Rome's transit go after December 2019. And one of the things that we are looking at is expanding into the county. But if we do expand into the county, the county has to be on board. We just can't, tell them this is what you're going to do. But by expanding to the county, we will be offering not only the citizens in Rome, but our county citizens as well, the use of the bus route. And I'm hoping and praying that's something that we can do, because a lot of children or a lot of people that would attend Georgia Highlands I think the enrollment could possibly go up, because that's one of the reasons. And I know I've talked to several people about, well, I don't have transportation to Georgia Highlands, blah, blah, blah. And we've tried to come up with alternates. The bus will take you this far. If we can take you to this point, maybe we can get a shuttle to take you on. Mm-hmm. So, but this is something that we're working on, and we're working hard.
Well, we're out of time, so we appreciate you coming on and talking with us today.
Well, thank you all for having us. Having me.
Ward 1, incumbent Sunday Stevenson, thank you. And we will be back right after this with another candidate.
Your life is filled with opportunities to show the world you can take charge. It's waking up each day with a mission. It's working each day toward a goal. It's choosing to rise. It's charging forward with a purpose. It's changing the course of your life and taking charge of your future. If you're ready to be a Take Charger, enroll at Georgia Highlands College today.
Welcome back to Community Watch. Our next candidate for Rome City Commission is J.J. Walker Seifert.
Correct.
Make sure I got the name right. And you are running for Ward 3.
That is correct, West Front.
Well, thank you for being with us.
Sure thing.
Okay.
Question number 1. What is your primary motivation for running for Rome City Commission?
Primarily, it's Rome. I feel that the commission needs a little shaking up, and I am planning to do that. I don't want to overturn the whole thing, but I do think that if elected, I will be the youngest person on the commission. And I'm 42, which is not old by any chance. It's very young. It's the 21st anniversary of my 21st birthday. But I do think that we need some new folks, some new ideas. I am by profession a problem solver. It's what I do for work, and as a mother. So I would like to problem solve for the city of Rome. We've got some problems, and I'd like to help solve them.
All right. Our second question, there's a slightly different version for new candidates than for incumbents. So
Sure.
The question is, what is one goal you want to achieve as city commissioner?
I think my primary goal as a city commissioner would be to make the community at large, individuals, folks that aren't, as many people as I've talked to don't understand that the mayor is a commissioner and how the mayor becomes the mayor as, a part of the commission. And so I would like to publicize local government. This is what we're doing. And I know that the city website has the agenda on it and it shows the city commission meetings live, but I would really like to make it more of a even like social media campaign. Everybody's always upset about what the commission does about parking or tennis courts or whatever you want to call it, but they're not involved enough to really understand what happened for the commission to get to the decisions that they got to. And I would like to involve the community in those decisions because that's what a commissioner does, represents the contingency and constituents of the area.
Okay.
Our Latino neighbors are a growing part of our city's population, but hold few positions of leadership in Rome. How do you plan to facilitate that change?
I'm not really sure how I can personally facilitate that change. I do think with the various committees, the Public Safety Committee, whichever, even the Zoning Committee, if we could have more of the Latino population be involved, like I was saying earlier, just publicize it, get people excited about what's going on in Rome, or hyped up enough to come tell us what they think. Because, for example, if you get, like they were gonna build the sleep-in in the neighborhood, I can't remember the name of it, Somerville Park, and they had enough upset neighbors. And I feel like the Latino population is underrepresented as far as positions of leadership. I don't know that I personally as a commissioner can just like wave a magic wand and make people leaders, but I personally do know a number of very dynamic, bright, problem-solving Latino and Latina folks in the city that I would like to talk to and get involved in the committees.
All right. Do you support the urban camping ordinance that the police have proposed? How do you envision the city's role in finding solutions to issues of poverty?
This is a complicated answer. The answer is yes and no. And I'll tell you why, because I've done a fair amount of research related to that ordinance. I am an attorney. This is what I do for a living. I read laws, I interpret them, I argue to the judge what they mean or what they don't mean, what they include or what they don't include, whether it applies to my client or doesn't apply to my client. I had a wonderful meeting with Devin Smith of the Davies Shelter on Friday to kind of get her overview of it. I would like to speak to Assistant Chief Burnett and Chief Donna McKinney about, their opinions as well. And I've also had some, local citizens that, are kind of against it, but when I speak to them about it, they haven't actually read the wording of the ordinance. I think the ordinance, I understand why it's been proposed. The police need help. They need a solution for what to do. It is a very common and normal thing for folks to be alarmed when they, have a homeless population and they're not used to dealing with homeless folks laying around as they think, or, setting up camp because they have nowhere else to go. However, I also don't want the ordinance to be punitive because the solution, the ordinance says, if they have to give a warning and ask the person to leave. Well, where are they going to go if they're truly homeless? They're going to go to another place and set up. So it's destined to, follow them, and they're going to get arrested and be put in jail, and we'll be back right where we were before. So I think the goal, while we need something to help the police manage it, I think the goal is to address the more systemic issues of homelessness and food insecurity. And I was very excited to read that there's the Housing Authority got their $1.25 million grant from HUD to do the updates and housing projects on Maple Avenue. So it wasn't as much as they wanted, but I'm excited for more affordable housing. That's not going to solve everything, but we're moving in the right direction. The Homelessness Task Force that has been called together by Mayor Collins has met several times, well, twice that I know of, and I know that those meetings have come up with a bunch of ideas and also looking back to the 2009 plan. So that's how I think it should be addressed. I can't say for sure that I am in favor of the ordinance. I have concerns about the enforceability. I'm actually one of, right now, the municipal court judges for the city of Rome. So this is what I do. I make judgments on whether people have violated ordinances. So when I heard about it, of course, that's directly where my brain went. Like, if how is the judge going to enforce this? How are they going to get folks into court without keeping them in jail? It's just, I don't understand how the back end of the solutions are going to go, because that's the part I work on. So I have a lot of questions about it, but I do think something needs to be done.
All right.
Do you believe downtown businesses has been hurt because of the parking ordinance? How would you describe the problem with parking, and what is your solution?
I have had my fair share of parking tickets throughout the years. I've worked downtown for a long time, I think 12 years now, and I've been an attorney for 17, but the last 12 I've been working in downtown Rome and had to park and needed a solution, particularly at the courthouse. I think the businesses, I don't know if they've been harmed. I've spoken to several and they're upset about it because they're concerned that they are being harmed, but I haven't seen any actual metrics. I haven't talked to anybody that said, oh, I'm not going downtown anymore because I only have 2 or 3 hours to park. I do think that the city has done a good job to open up the parking decks for the times to park for free. I do think parking is always going to be an issue in downtown Rome, because it's an issue in every downtown area that is busy and flourishing, which ours is. And I would rather be grateful than that and try to help solve some of the parking problems than worry about whether it's harmed anybody. I just want to, make everybody happy.
All right. Now that the city and county have decided to take a larger role in economic development and recruitment of industries, what changes are you proposing regarding recruitment strategies? How will you measure success of the new model?
I was on the chamber board of directors when the chamber executed these types of things, recruiting campaigns for big businesses. I think as a proposal, what I would do is put together folks that know how to do that in a committee, on a task force, however you want to organize it, and make a written plan. How to find businesses that are looking for a place like Rome to relocate, who's going to go there or who's going to bring them here to talk to them, have sort of a dossier, like a book, you know, an information book about Rome, all the great things about Rome. Because I know that's what worked for us when I was on the chamber board. And we do want to recruit more industry because we know that the Lowe's distribution center has brought great economic growth, both with jobs and also folks moving to Rome. And I'd like to get more of stuff like that in Rome because jobs help go back to the homeless thing, you know, like more jobs, less homeless people, affordable housing, all of that works together. But I think having a group of people that understands and knows how to recruit businesses is key.
All right.
Based on the recent requirement that the city schools provide their own transportation, what do you see as the next chapter for Rome Transit? Is it finally the right time to add Georgia Highlands to the bus routes?
Absolutely. It's the right time. My kids are city school students. They're in 9th and 10th grade at Rome High. So they have ridden RTD buses since kindergarten. I personally have had concerns about the RTD buses and safety, particularly when they were little, because of the crowding and also not having the safety features that standard school buses have. However, it's going to be a huge financial burden on the city to provide, on the school system to provide all of that transportation. But since the transit department won't have to handle that anymore, I mean, we could recruit a ton of great students to Rome if they could have good transportation. And RTD is a great transportation system. So yes, it's time to add it.
African American and Latino residents of Rome total over 40% of the population. What can the City of Rome do to increase the involvement of these residents in area businesses, both as owners and as patrons?
What can the City of Rome do?
What can the City of Rome do to increase the involvement of these residents in area businesses, both as owners and as patrons?
I think it's starting to increase. My son's friend Brandon is Don Neo of the Don Neo franchise. Yeah. First it was the food truck. We always stopped and got tacos, and they are a Latino family. I know that's just one example. I think it's starting to change. I do know we also have a lot of African American and people of color that do own local businesses. However, I also think that the current African American and Latino business owners are great examples to folks that have a great idea and think they can go out. And as a business owner myself that started from nothing basically, I know the scariness of it, but I think if we, if the city offers, you know, incentives or anything like that, I think that would be a great idea.
Well, we're out of time. We appreciate so much you being with us. And J.J. Walker Seifert, Ward 3, thank you for being with us. We'll see you on our next show.